Okay, the religion encourages them to accept their situation, for it teaches fatalism, the belief that an individual's position in life is God's will. In India, the Dalits are taught that they must have done bad things in a previous life to suffer so. They're supposed to submit to their situation. I won't submit to mine. And in the next life, maybe they'll come back in a more desirable state. Evaluating the theories, most sociologists prefer colonialism and world systems theory. To them, the explanation based on culture of poverty places blame on the victim, on the poor nations themselves. It points to characteristics of the poor nations rather than to international political arrangements that benefit most industrialized nations at the expense of the poor nations. But taken together, these theories yield only part of the picture. None of these theories would have led anyone to expect that after World War II, Japan, which had a religion that stressed fatalism, which had 2 major cities destroyed by atomic bombs, and which had been stripped of its colonies, would become an economic powerhouse. Each theory then yields but a partial explanation, and the grand theorist who will put the many pieces of this puzzle together has yet to appear. Well, here we go. The dump people. That's okay, dump people. We can't even figure out what to do with our stuff here. So anyway. The dump people, working and living and playing in the city dump of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I went to Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, to inspect orphanages, to see how well the children were being cared for. While there, I was told about people who live in the city dump. Live there? I could hardly believe my ears. I knew that people made their living by picking scraps from the city dump, but I didn't know they actually lived among the garbage. This I had to see for myself. I did. And there I found a highly developed social organization and intricate support system. Because words are inadequate to depict the abject poverty of the least industrialized nations, these photos can provide more insight into the people's lives than anything I could say. After the garbage arrives by truck, people stream around it, struggling to be the first to discover something of value. To shift through the trash, the workers use metal picks, like the one the child is holding. Note that children work alongside the adults. The children who live in the dump also play there. These children are riding bicycles on the road, a packed, leveled area of garbage that leads to their huts. The huge stacks in the background are piled trash. Note the ubiquitous Nike. Ubiquitous Nike. Oh, there it is. Backpack, a Nike backpack. Great. One of many surprises was to find food stands in the dump. Ew. Although this one primarily offers drinks and snacks, others serve more sustainable food. One even has chairs for its customers. I was surprised to learn that ice is delivered to the dump. This woman is using a hand grinder to crush ice for drinks for her customers. The customers, of course, are other people who also live in the dump. At the day's end, the workers wash at the community dump, the community pump. This hand pump serves all their water needs, drinking, washing, and cooking. There is no indoor plumbing. The weeds in the background serve that purpose. Not too many visitors to Phnom Penh. Tell a cab driver to take them to the city dump. To the city dump. The cabbie looked a bit perplexed, but he did as I asked. 2 cabs are shown here because my friends insisted on accompanying me. Okay, anyway. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. Maintaining global stratification. Regardless of how the world's nations became stratified, why do the same countries remain rich year after year while the rest stay poor? Let's look at two explanations of how global stratification is maintained. Neo-colonialism. Sociologist Michael Harrington, 1977, argued that colonialism fell out of style and was replaced by neo-colonialism. When World War II changed public sentiment about sending soldiers and colonists to weaker countries, the most industrialized nations turned to international markets to control the least industrialized nations. These powerful nations determined how much they will pay for tin from Bolivia, copper from Peru, coffee from Brazil, and so forth. They also move hazardous industries into the least industrialized nations. As many of us learn our sorrow, owing a large debt and falling behind on payments puts us at the mercy of our creditors, so it is with neocolonialism. The policy of selling weapons and other manufactured goods to the least industrialized nations on credit turns those countries into eternal debtors. The capital they need to develop their own industries goes instead to the debt, which becomes bloated with mounting interest. Keeping these nations in debt makes them submit to the trading terms dictated by the neo-colonialists. The oil-rich Middle East nations are a special case of neo-colonialism. Because of significant events that reoccur in this area of the world, such as the two Gulf Wars and the terrorism that originates from this region, it is worth considering Saudi Arabia. Prashad. Oh, that's a person. These are sites. And the information was cited from Strategic Energy Policy, 2001. Prashad, 2002. This nation was founded under Great Britain's direction and named after the man Ibn Saud, that Great Britain picked to lead it. To keep their factories running at a profit, the most industrialized nations need low-priced oil. The Saudis provide it. If other nations pump less, no matter the cause, whether revolution or a lowering of production in order to raise prices, the Saudis make up the shortfall. It's just a little too quiet in here with some background noise out there. In return for stable oil prices, the United States supports the Saudi royal family, overlooks human rights violations, and not insignificantly furnishes the latest weapons. Multinational corporations, companies that operate across many national boundaries, also help to maintain the global dominance of most industrialized nations. In some cases, multinational corporations exploit the least industrialized nations directly. A prime example is the United Fruit Company. For decades, this company controlled national and local profits in Central America. It ran these nations as fiefdoms for the company's own profits, while the United States Marines waited in the wings in case the company's interests needed to be backed up. Most commonly, however, multinational corporations help to maintain international stratification simply by doing business. I'm biting on my own tongue. A single multinational have mines in several countries, do manufacturing in others, and run transportation and marketing networks around the globe. Boy, I could feel that sleepiness just come over me so strongly. Most commonly, however, multinational corporations help to maintain international stratification simply by doing business. A single multinational may have mines in several countries, doing manufacturing in many others, and run transportation and marketing networks around the globe. No matter where the profits are made or where they are reinvested, the primary beneficiaries are the most industrialized nations, especially the one in which the multinational corporations has its world headquarters. Whew. Then I might have to close this. Let's see. Half a page left, another page left. Whew. I could do it. I could make it. The elites, which live a sophisticated upper-class life in a major city of their home country, send their children to prestigious universities such as Oxford and Sorbonne and Harvard. The multinational corporations funnel investments to these small circles of power, whose members favor projects. That's okay. Fight it. Multinational corporations funnel investments to these small circles of power, whose members favor projects such as building laboratories and computer centers in the capital cities. Projects that do not help the vast majority of their people who live in poor, remote villages. They eke out a meager living on a small plot of land. That's okay, I have to continue tomorrow. I can't read anymore.
Why, tired?
Yeah, very. I have no clue. Kitty, I can do it, right? I can do it. Okay, just a few more paragraphs. The end result is an informal partnership between multinational corporations and the elites of the least industrialized nations to gain access to the country's raw materials, labors, and markets. The corporations pay off the elites. These are politely called subsidies and offsets, not bribes. The elites use their payoffs not only to maintain their genteel lifestyle, but also to purchase advanced weapons from multinational corporations, which they use to oppress their people and preserve their dominance. Both elites and corporations benefit from political stability, which is necessary for keeping their diabolical partnership alive. This, however, is not the full story. Multinational corporations also play a role in changing international stratification. This is an unintentional byproduct of their worldwide search for cheap resources and labor. By moving manufacturing from the most industrialized nations to the least industrialized nations, they not only exploit cheap labor, but also bring jobs, and in some cases, prosperity to these nations. Although workers in the least industrialized nations are paid a pittance, or a very tiny, small amount, it is more than they can earn elsewhere. With new factories come opportunities to develop skills and a capital base. This does not occur in all nations, but the Pacific Rim nations, nicknamed the Asian Tigers, are a remarkable case in point. They have developed such a strong capital base that they have begun to rival the older capitalist nations. Because these countries are subject to capitalists in famous boom and bust cycles, many workers in the Maquiladana's, what is that friggin' word again? Anyway, Maquiladonorus, you just read about, will have your dreams, or have their dreams smashed as capitalism moves into the next downturn. Technology and global domination. The race between the most and least industrialized nations to develop and apply the new technologies is like a race between a marathon runner and a one-legged man. Can an outcome be in doubt? As the multinational corporations amass profits, they are able to invest huge sums in the latest technologies. Gillette, for example, spent $100 million so that it could adjust production on an hourly basis. These millions came from just one United States company. Many least industrialized nations would love to have $100 million to invest in their entire economy, much less to fine-tune the production of razor blades. In short, in the quest to maintain global domination, the new technologies pile up even more advantages for the most industrialized nations. A concluding note, let's return to the two families in our opening vignette. Remember, these families represent distinct worlds of money and power, that is, global stratification. Their life chances, from access to material possessions to the opportunity for education and even the likely age at which they will die, are profoundly affected by global stratification. This division of globe into interconnected units of nations with more or less wealth and more or less power and prestige then is much more than a matter of theoretical interest. In fact, it is your life we are talking about. It is your life we are talking about. Your life, my life, our lives. Sayonara.